Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit different than usual. I'm not going to be talking about any specific option trading concepts or looking at charts or things like that. In this video, I'll be giving you 5 very important tips for new or struggling traders and investors. And these 5 tips were things that I had to learn on my own when I first started trading and investing because, especially at the beginning, right, when things are the most difficult, I had no experience, very little knowledge, and as a result, I made a lot of mistakes. But that being said, as I continued to just keep on trading, just pick myself up and keep moving forward, I did learn a whole lot about myself and about trading in general. And so again, if you are in a similar situation, if you are pretty new to trading or investing, or if you are struggling right now for some reason, then hopefully the 5 tips that I learned on my own in my own journey and that I'll be sharing with you in this video, hopefully they'll be very useful to you as well. Now, as always, before we get started here, in case you are brand new to the channel, my name is Scott Reese, and I'm here to help you learn how to trade, invest, and master your finances so you can apply that knowledge in the real world and multiply your money. And in case you want to see more trading or investing content after watching this video, you can also find me on SKILLSHARE as well, where you can take my very in-depth classes on options trading or stock market investing. And I provided some links to some of the introductory courses of mine in the description of this video below. So be sure to check them out. And when you sign up for SKILLSHARE using any of those links, you'll get a full 1-month free trial. Okay, so with that being said, now we can get started here. And so my first tip is absolutely do not compare yourself to others. Easier said than done, but specifically what you see online, on social media, for example, do not compare yourself to what you see on those platforms. And that's because most of the trading or investing content you see online is fake or it is drastically skewing the truth. It's not real, right? I know I'm not the only person who has scrolled through Instagram, for example, and seen just picture after picture of some dude or some woman on the internet claiming to make huge profits all the time so easily. It's basically guaranteed with their secret trading strategy. And of course, most of the money you see those people flashing around on the internet, that money mostly comes from, if not entirely comes from, selling you their BS courses, their trade signals, their trade picks, etc. Now, that being said, I do also want to say that paying for some trading or investing course from a reputable source, from somebody who actually knows how to trade and is not just some scammy online marketer, that's totally fine in my opinion. But do also understand that a lot of information about trading and investing can be learned for free on the internet. It's a lot more difficult to find, of course. You basically have to navigate your way through all the BS fake traders and fake gurus first, but I promise you the information is out there. So again, do not compare yourself to what you see on the internet. All those mountains of cash, the Lamborghinis, the huge mansions, the flashy lifestyle, all that is fake. It is not real. It is simply a scammy marketing tactic meant to deceive you into, again, buying their courses, their trade signals, their stock picks, whatever. And especially if you are a new trader or if you are struggling right now, then all that stuff is going to do is make you feel worse about yourself. You're going to feel inferior because, again, those kinds of profits, that kind of lifestyle is just not real. So focus just on yourself. Your primary focus should just be becoming profitable and then increasingly so. Don't worry about anybody else. Just focus on you. Next up, my second tip is understand, accept, and acknowledge the fact that trading and investing is hard. It is difficult. And to be brutally honest here, if you do want to become successful, like actually successful trading or investing, it is most likely going to take multiple years to get to that point. And I don't want to say that to discourage anybody from pursuing trading or investing, but I do also want to help people manage their expectations. So just understand again and accept the fact that if you do want to pursue this as an activity, a hobby, a profession, whatever, it will take some time to become an expert. And I would honestly say the most difficult part of trading is not the actual trading strategy or understanding the information about stocks or options or management mechanics or things like that. Sure, that can be difficult, but the most difficult part is self-mastery. And that's because true success in trading does require a lot of patience, perseverance, and self-control. And if you ask me, or you ask pretty much anybody out there, those 3 things are extremely difficult to cultivate in yourself and in your character. Making those 3 attributes a part of who you are is not easy, right? Because even though as human beings, we certainly have the capability to be calm, rational, and logical in what we're doing, there is also a side of human nature that is all about emotion and being impulsive. And that is the side of our nature that we must learn to control if you do want to be successful with trading or investing. Basically, the more like a machine, the more like a computer you can be with your own trading, the greater chance you'll have of actually becoming successful. And believe me, it is not easy to learn how to control yourself in that fashion. It takes a lot of time and effort. So again, remember, this is a marathon, not a race. You are on a journey to become successful with trading or investing. And whether that journey takes 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years, or longer, does not matter. Because by the end of that journey, once you finally do find success, I promise you, it is one of the most rewarding experiences you'll ever have. And next up with my third tip, in regards to your trading strategy, focus on making small, consistent wins with manageable losses. And I do totally understand that trying to go for the home run trade, trying to make 1,000% return or something, that is certainly enticing. It's exciting, right? But it is not the right way to trade. You will almost certainly go bankrupt if that is your approach. And that's because in order to even have the potential to make those huge returns, you must either take on huge amounts of risk and or make trades with super small probabilities of profit. There's no such thing as low risk, high chances of making huge profits. That's not how the stock market works. So again, focus on just stacking up small and consistent wins. Go for the single base hits basically and not the home run trade. And I do want to emphasize here to be consistent across the board with everything you're doing. Same kinds of trades, same level of risk per trade, same management tactics with your stop losses or your profit targets. Keep everything consistent. And the reason for that is because essentially trading is all about averages, specifically your average profit and your average loss. And of course, your average profits must outweigh your average losses, right? And in order for you to have a very accurate and objective assessment of where you are with those two things, you have to be consistent. You cannot be all over the place with your trading and your risk level and your management tactics. Your whole approach has to be uniform. And lastly, in regards to this tip here, I want to ask you the question of how does any professional become a professional? For example, how does a professional basketball player become an expert at making three-pointers? Well, it's because they practice the same exact shot over and over and over and over again until they perfect it. And trading is no different. Practice the same kinds of trades and management tactics, etc., over and over and over again until you become an expert at what you're doing. And then also through that consistency, you can objectively see how you are performing. Okay, next up with my fourth tip is ignore all the hype and ignore the financial media. With the exception of just trying to stay generally aware of what's happening in the market or what's happening in the world economy, etc., pretty much everything that you absorb through financial media is complete garbage, okay? No one has become rich and famous by listening to Jim Cramer, for example, or any other stock-picking financial expert that you see on the media. And in fact, there was actually a book I read a while ago, perhaps I'll make a video on it at some point, where the author actually did in-depth research on people like Jim Cramer or other financial experts and proved definitively that these people, if you were to follow their stock picks or their financial advice, you would drastically underperform the S&P 500. Basically, you would make a lot more money just putting your capital into an index fund that just tracks the S&Ps or the NASDAQ than listening to these people. And the main reason why the predictions, the stock picks, the advice, etc., that comes from these people, the reason why all these things are often wrong is because stock price fluctuations are pretty much perfectly random in the short to medium term. And I do also have a video that proves that fact. I did my own research into this topic, and I'll post a card above linking to it so you can watch it later. But yes, you cannot actually reliably and consistently make predictions about where a certain stock or where even the market as a whole is going to go. There's no edge in trying to flip a coin, for example, and call heads or tails because that's perfectly random. And the same concept applies to the stock market. There's no way to know whether stock ABC is going to be up or down tomorrow unless you have insider information, which is illegal to trade on anyway. So again, ignore all the hype and all the noise that comes from places like CNBC or Wall Street Bets especially, or pretty much any public figure that is claiming you have to buy these certain stocks right now because they're going to do X, Y, and Z by tomorrow. No, ignore all of it. It's just noise. It's a distraction. And it's going to make you doubt yourself too because there's so much conflicting opinion. Block it all out and just focus on your strategy and what you're doing. Okay, and then fifth and finally, my last tip here is have an outlet for the inevitable stress and frustration. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, even the pros, even the masters like Warren Buffett, for example, They have bad days, bad weeks, bad months, bad years in the market. You look at Warren Buffett's record, for example, it's pretty impeccable, of course, but he's gone multiple years throughout his career where he's actually lost money. Imagine that. So especially if you are a new trader with little experience, or if you are currently struggling with your trading right now for some reason, of course, there are going to be times where you do experience anger, fear, frustration, anxiety, etc. And unless you have an actual outlet, some sort of activity or hobby to release these emotions, they will build up within yourself until you explode. And that's because the market waits for no one. It does not care if you are having a bad day or a bad month or a bad year. The market still opens 5 days a week, every single week, nonstop. And there will be times where for some reason you're just in a bad spot with your positions and the market will just continue to relentlessly hammer you day after day after day. And those are the moments where it is the most important to keep a level head, to control yourself, and to manage your way out of those situations. And the only way you can effectively do that is if you're not ready to explode with anger and frustration. You must have a way to get rid of those emotions, preferably on a daily basis, if you're in the market on a daily basis, to keep yourself from having a meltdown. And if you're curious about me and what I do, for me, I have the gym. I go to the gym literally 7 days a week, between 2 and 2.5 hours a day, and I just work out all the stress and frustration if it's actually there. And I say it that way because most of the time, trading is not actually stressful for me, and it should not be that way. If you are actually stressed out most of the time with what you're doing, chances are you're doing something wrong, and you need to course correct. Trading should actually be a pretty consistent, methodical, calm process that you do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, and perhaps a couple times here and there, things do get a bit stressful. But it's still important to have that outlet and to engage with it frequently so that, again, you can always maintain that level head and that calmness so that you can effectively trade in the best way possible. And so with that being said, those are my 5 tips. I hope they were very useful for you. And don't forget, if you want to take some very in-depth classes on options trading or stock market investing, then check out my SKILLSHARE courses. Links in the description of this video. And finally, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I drop new videos every single week, and you don't want to miss out. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.